So, Jim, there is something in the... Okay, now I can see.
Turn this way. Here.
So wonderful to see everyone.
You too, Rinpoche.
Good, I think it's good afternoon or good evening, whatever it is. Anyway, Tashi Dele, Tibetan greetings, auspicious greeting, that's mean in Tibetan. And so happy to see all wonderful Bodhisattvas on the way to become Bodhisattvas, enlightened Bodhisattvas. Right now you all are practicing Bodhisattvas, soon to become enlightened Bodhisattvas. Anyway, so happy to see all of you. Thank you. So let's begin with a prayer. 8 noble auspicious prayer. I will do. Om no senum darijinum rupe, tajijijina chupayi, sange chodangi nupavetsu, kuna chasadacha, tashisho, de meja boziti. Jembe jembe katapadamba, kuna gumba jaje rabaje, nubodarba zarabadani, simjetam shela gumbrate, yisim zepa tsarab tapat, sensam de beta shi pepewe, devarashi kwakela chasalo, jembe jenu, padendu jisi, chirisim. Say Nimbo de Banum Brase, Namgay Nimbo Pajo Gunduzang, Ubeduji, Pegaduji, Shazelenum Dashi Begijo, Chanju Sambagela, Chazalo, the Jindu Tashi Sergina, the Ju Buzan. Yenda Dunda Buzo Bebe, Minu Gaze, Mujukolo, the Jinta Juji, Chudu Gawachi. Gisongo, the Bebe, Tashi Hamongela, Chazalo, Samba Shimbo. Mito de Bagi Budalua Mimiza, Nam this is the Lazargo, Tishula. They want to teach you things in the Sasumnes of Galictashi Bay, Jide Joa Gela Chasalo, Daja Tinder Jawas. Gidan Yavar Sewa Kunjini, the deux bebe, some de Asian group, Tashi de Pusum Sobacho, Daja Tinder Jawas. Gidan Yavar Sewa Kunjini, the deux bebe, some de Asian group. Tashi dele pusum soparisho, daja tindre chawa sumbala. Gedan Yavar Sewa Kunjini, the deux bebe, some de Asian group. Tashi dele pusum soparisho. Umurge yuke nubjanza, Pema Kesnatum. Yanzen choke ngudubni, Pema Jugne Shisuta, Kurdo Kondo. Chigi Jesoda, Duki Chingal, Shizo Sol Guru Pema City, Urge yuke nubjanza, Pema Kesnatum. Yanzen choke ngudubni, Pema Jugne Shisuta, Kurdo Kondo Mampuru, Chigi Jesoda. Chingal of Shizo Sol Guru Pema City, Urge yuke nubjanza, Pema Kesnatum. Yanzen choke ngudubni, Pema Jugne Shisuta, Kurdo Kondo. Chigi Jesoda, Duki Chingal of Shizo Sol Guru Pema City. Jumnende Para Gumbo Jizin Jabe Yana Cha Salo, Jumnende Para Gumbo Jizin Jabe Yana Cha Salo, Jumnende Para Gumbo Jizin Jabe Yana Cha. Kangelo to me the Nidanum Darab Savaging to which is in the genie to go to Pomse, and thus a better motive with them to which is so good, which it does a unit to do in the Legislator to the Giamari Musa to renew coaching into Zeratanam, then is a just a jet of the Secretary Judah in the Talo Music for young. O Murpazanadi, 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 Murpazanadi. Murpazanadi, 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 Rum the Shishi, Betana, Shirapet. Lemozime Jimmy go Gumbo Jambe on the Chhoje concert tower Gurumdo de Shi Ching obeyed in a share of bread in Lemozime Jimmy Gumbo Jambe, young Chhoje concert tower double, choose it to word to Gumbo Jimmy, came a putting to worship. But then severe. Daggy, permit the Judah, putting goes on to gain more troops out. So this month is called Chutul Dawa, or the month of miracle, where the Shakyamuni perform like for the first 15 days, which is today is the full moon, the last year of the first 15 days, which is multiplying month into 100,000 times. Basically, when we, the word is like miraculous month, for example, it's called Chutul Dawa. Tibetan Chutul means like miraculous month. And basically, when we reflect and when we try to think what that really means, it's not something that Buddha was trying to show his power and, look, I have this power of miraculous, I can fly, or I can do this, or I can do that. Normally, we have an ordinary perspective when we think about whatever happens in our life, we think in terms of duality. We think in terms of how we are, our mind at the present, being wrapped up in a notion of self, where there is no self, notion of permanence, where everything is impermanence. All these wrong views and wrong outlook, because you only look out like what's in your mind. You cannot outlook something which is deep or you didn't realize. When we talk about realize, then that's a whole different question. Now, most of you understand you're a Dharma practitioner. But if I say someone who have never heard of Dharma, say, you haven't realized, that person may think, I'm a crazy man. What's he talking about? I know about myself. I love myself. In fact, people say to the point, you go today, probably one of the modern psychology is speaking about, I love myself, and who are you to speak anything about this like insult? But that's not what we're talking about, insult to another being. When Buddha says he shows the miraculous power this month, perform the miraculous power, you really need to reflect what that really meant and where that is coming from. And the entire path of Buddha Dharma, Buddhism, is based on the notion of basic goodness, first of all. We need to find a place to the outlook where it comes from, all the teachings where it comes from, what it really meant, those meaning of this teaching in relationship to ourselves. Because when I say in relationship to ourselves, there is nothing beside your mind. Finally, as we say, the buck stops here. Everything stops to your mind. Beside your mind, there's nothing is happening. To know the world, to know the environment, to know about yourself, it's all your mind. So therefore, when the Dharma is speaking, it is speaking of your mind. If you look at the entire 9 jnanas teaching, or the 3 general teaching of Buddha, the Theravadan teaching or Hinayana teaching, and the Sutra Mahayana teaching, and then the Vajrayana teaching, it's all about the level of our mind, and whether from our gross mind to subtle mind, to very subtle mind, all the way to the clear light state of mind. It's all about speaking about you. The entire 9 jnana is a message to yourself. speaking about you. The entire ethical practice, first, which is laid down in the Hinayana practice, is all about how you can deal with your affliction. And so by dealing with your affliction, then you can find happiness, isn't it? I mean, the whole point is to achieving liberation and happiness, which is the aspiration of all being without exception, whether it's like being as big as a mountain or tiny as like some bacteria, insect, whatever, very tiny, all as long as there's a sentient, we all aspire for happiness. So which is the biggest blockage for happiness? It's our ignorance and our affliction. So in order to how to deal with the affliction is what the Buddha gave the teaching of the 3 yanas or the 9 yanas teaching in particular, for example. So therefore, there's nothing, there's not a single word of teaching that Buddha gave which is not meant for our liberation and our happiness. There's not a one single word. It has nothing to do, whether you're in the camp of Buddhism or whether, it has nothing to do with those. Those are just like very simple-minded thinking. Oh, I'm on this camp or I'm on that camp. That's not going to solve anything. The point is, the issue here is our happiness. And the issue here, how do we achieve that happiness? And the method which is shown, and that's what the real issue is. So therefore, the question was asked to Buddha, what is Buddha Dharma? And then Buddha said, do not create any negative deeds or unvirtue. Create positive deeds, virtue. Subdue this afflicted mind. That is Buddha Dharma. You see, that's what Buddha Dharma is about. It's not that, oh, I've become a Buddhist, and that's just a label. The point here is you need to work with your own, this very affliction, which is our biggest enemy, biggest obstacle in achieving liberation. So therefore, when you study the Dharma, you must have the understanding. First, you hear the Dharma, then you understand and introspect with the Dharma. Finally, you practice the Dharma. That's how to follow the path of the Dharma. Just hearing is not enough. You need to introspect. You need to reflect. You need to ask questions in every 10 directions, whatever your mind can explore, in and out, not leave any stone unturned, as we said. Have skepticism, have doubt, bring this question, bring that question, ask question. And then once it's kind of like clear in your mind, then finally you put that into practice. We'll call the meditation into action, the practice. So when you bring this whole 3 stages, hearing the Dharma, introspecting the Dharma, then practicing Dharma, then you gain confidence. Confidence can only come within yourself by those 3 stages. So, of course, without practice, there's no realization. Like anything in life, even you want to learn how to, make a good toast in the morning. How many times we messed up, either the heating is too high, it get burnt, or, it's too low, it takes ages, and it doesn't work. So the right amount of number 5, 6, whatever, and then when you put, then things comes timely and they're toasted well, and then you enjoy your toast. Like that, you have to learn from your experience, and that is very important. Dharma has to come from experience, not simply theoretical, and not simply, that's the meaning of Dharma. Okay, then you just move forward. That's not going to do, because the reason why it's not going to do just like part-time Dharma, part-time, I could say part-time Dharma, because you are living with your mind where there's tremendous habit of affliction from so many lifetimes. And that can only be dealt like continuously in the most skillful method, most skillful. And the reason when I say the most skillful way is, Buddha Shakyamuni has a nephew. His name was, I think, Chungao. Not exactly remember. So anyway, he was a great pianist. So when he went to meditate, he cannot achieve a good result, and he was keep doing it, but not good result. And then Buddha asked him one day, when you play your pianist, the string should be very tight or the string should be very loose. How a good sound will come, musical sound will come, by what method of tightness or looseness of the string. And he replied to Buddha, if you put the string too tight, the sound will not be good. And if you put it too loose, of course, there will be no sound. So you need the right balance. Same thing in the Dharma, you need to do that. Deep inside, your mind should be relaxed. And then you have an open mind. And then you introspect the Dharma. That is very important when you practice. Same thing, your daily, like we eat 2 or 3 meals a day, regardless, same thing, your practice should be there all the time. Then that, only mind can deal with the mind. Mind problem cannot be dealt by some external material. Mind problem can be only dealt by the mind itself, which is created by the mind, can only be absolve or find the solution by the mind itself. So therefore, mindfulness is extremely important. Whether you do your daily practice twice or once, and in particular, those who are senior Dharma students should keep their mindfulness and awareness as much as possible. It's your only most precious tool to deal with the afflictions. That will stop the affliction, that will bring you awareness of bodhicitta, awareness of awakening mind. Without mindfulness and awareness, there's no way you can handle your mind and how to deal with life situation. So we need to keep in mind the mindfulness and awareness, very important, guard it all the time. There's a saying, who is your best friend? Actually, it's interesting. I asked a number of people, who is your best friend? They say, oh, my best friend is myself. Some say my best friend is, my teacher or this and that. But really, your best friend is your mindfulness. Your mindfulness is your best friend. There is no one better than your mindfulness. You have to work with this mind. And in order to work with this mind, you need someone you can count on it. And that's your mindfulness. Soks Rinpoche told me a funny story one time. In Tibet, there was this guy. So, in life situation, you can't trust people, everyone say different thing. So he said, there is no one I can really trust. The only thing I can trust is this pillar in myself. There's this pillar. Pillar is always there. Like I can trust this pillar. There's no one I can trust. Same thing as a practitioner, you can trust your mindfulness. And then mindfulness and awareness is what's you're going to make your development and improve. Without mindfulness and awareness, there is no way that external source can only temporarily do some help, but you need something within you. Your best friend is your mindfulness. Does it make sense? Your mindfulness is your best friend. So the development of mindfulness is actually, according to the stages of the Dharma practice, called 5 stages. The beginning stage is called the path of meritorious path, which we are right now. We all are in that meritorious path. Then there is a junior level of meritorious path, medium level of meritorious path, and higher level of meritorious path. That's the one path. Then the second path is like the path of connection. The third path is called the path of seeing the awakened mind. And the fourth path is called the path of meditation. And the fifth path is called the path of where there is nothing to learn, means now fully awakened mind. No, no, even the concept of learning, all this is duality. At that time, that's extremely high level. But right now, where we are, we should look, we should study, Like, for example, you go to a tour, let's say somewhere in the middle of Sahara or in a desert or in a Gobi desert or in the middle of the ocean, then you want to know where you are. That's how you're going to begin. If you don't know where you are, then you will be drifted away. You'll be lost. Same thing, when anything in life, we try to find our compass where we are and now where we are going and what we need to do. And that compass is right now, is the definitely, first of all, we need to deal with, we're in a situation that where there's all this gross affliction emotion, gross aggression, gross attachment, gross jealousy, gross this, gross, a lot of affliction happening. So when there's a lot of affliction, we are habituated in all this gross affliction, then what we're going to do? A lot of negative deeds is given. There's no question of that. It's given. Whether it will intentionally go or unintentionally go or slip through, unconsciously slip through. It's going to happen. So when that happens, then what's the result? It's suffering. There's, it's not punishment of God or demon or Satan or nobody's, one's own doing, our own ignorance doing. I think it's important to know, not to blame nobody rather than our own doing. So can we change that? Then the next question is, of course we can change it. For changing that, we need to hear the Dharma, and then we need your best friend, your mindfulness. When those things are happening, how do you deal with your mindfulness and your awareness? So therefore, the knowing, first of all, you find out where you are in this universe. Your main compass. Your compass right now, yes, there is ego. Yes, there is affliction. Yes, there is all this thing happening. So now, how do I deal with this in order to be freed from this, in order to find my happiness and liberation? Then, you practice. When the Buddha said, it was a general teaching. And every level of people can have a different meaning to understand. When he said, create virtue, don't create unvirtue. Subdue your afflictive mind, and that is the Buddha Dharma. That's like a very general, teaching. Of course, he can't speak about each person's emotional problem specifically. It's like a whole general teaching. It covers everybody from the very junior level all the way to the highest level. So therefore, when you study Dharma, you need to have like a broad understanding of the Dharma and then specific understanding of the Dharma. Specifically, what it's telling about. Is it telling about from the conventional truth, or is speaking on the absolute truth? And in what terms? So this is because Dharma is so deep. The deep is not outside. Deep is your own mind, your gross emotion, your subtle emotion, your subconscious causal level, your very level of your awareness, enlightened mind. It's all about one's own opening. The whole 84,000 teachings of infinite teaching is all based on our emotions and thoughts. How you unravel that, how you begin to see that, how you bring to being awakened from that. It's all about that. And of course, sometimes there are different methods are used, like different rituals are used sometimes, bells are used, drums are used, conch shells are used, this and that, and mudras are used. But basically, it's all about unraveling our mind, understanding. So therefore, first of all, finding where we are And so all beginners need to accumulate merit. It's the first stage. Therefore, it's called the path of the merit. In the path of the merit, the first thing you need is mindfulness. Mindfulness of body, when you meditate, how to sit. Mindfulness of feeling. And mindfulness of mind. So all these things you required at the first level. It's very important. Otherwise, our minds get drifted away in our old habitual mindset. And then, as you know, needless for me to say how that mind is, in all kinds of views of either nihilistic views or views which are so obscured, doesn't know what creates, what cause create what effect. And we are ignorant about cause and effect. We're ignorant about compassion. We're ignorant about warm-heartedness. We're, needless to say, we're ignorant about ultimate reality, enlightened mind. So, can we remove all this? Yes, we can, because they're all obscuration of mind. They are like wrong views. If there's any wrong views, it has an antidote itself already there. You just have to discover it's within your mind. Because I've mentioned in the past many times that every phenomena has its own opposite antidote. Like strength, which is stronger than the other one. Even, for example, if one gets bitten by a snake, which is very poisonous, but there is a remedy for that also, how to heal that. So does, I heard, like biological weapons. Many of them have antidote, you can get a particular antidote and you can be freed and cured of that sickness and whatever that is, chemical or biological, probably most of them. Even COVID, now we have COVID vaccination. At one point, it was so scary and so paranoid even to go out, even to breathe the air, And now we have got vaccination, and as some people didn't got vaccination, trying to be very careful or whatever, but at least we are trying to prevent that. So therefore, now the whole point of what I'm trying to say, mindfulness is extremely important. And so therefore, in order to develop mindfulness, you need like a regular session. You need like a regular practice. You will not able to do that if you say, okay, I will keep mindfulness, let me just drive. I will keep mindfulness, let me just go to a movie. I will keep mindfulness, let me, unless you have highly realized, you won't able to handle that because your mind is not strong enough to deal with that. So in order to build your mind strength, first you need a formal practice. That's spending time in your own room, in your own place, like 15 minutes a day, half an hour a day, 1 hour a day, whatever you have time. So you build up. So during that time while you're sitting on your zafu, your mind is 100% focused to your environment, to your body, and to your mind. And then the effect of that meditation, when you get up and when you go out in post-meditation state, then you may be watching a TV, or you may be driving, you may be eating, you may be talking. Your mindfulness is there. So the external enemy, affliction, cannot easily come inside. Like we build, I had all this firewall in computer. I'm not good at computers, so I was told, keep updating my computer. And for example, it's like that. So we need to update is here, update with mindfulness. You need to update yourself, otherwise you will have virus coming in your mind. And this virus is more dangerous than the computer virus. Computer virus, the most it can happen is someone will steal your money or something. But this virus can destroy you for life after life after lifetimes. It's more dangerous. So therefore, you need a very strong protection, and therefore it is said, mindfulness is your best friend, and that makes sense. And so that is part in the structure of the Dharma. The the great kind Buddha really emphasized that the beginner's first level of practice is path of merit, and that's mean practice mindfulness. So please keep in mind, you all need to practice mindfulness, and to begin with, you need a formal practice. So every day do some practice. Doesn't matter how much time you have or you don't have, even like 5 minutes a day, and then build up gradually step by step to 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever your time is. And then we can move, and then really sit and, build your mindfulness. It may be a little difficult at the beginning, but you will overcome that. It's not difficult. Shanti Deva said there is nothing is difficult once you get used to it. We can see in this world how athletes, they can do all this amazing somersault in winter's games, and, and then the swimming, and then the rock climbing, and then, amazing thing, and acrobatic. It's all, trained. And then finally, it's easy for them, no big deal. Same thing with the mind. In fact, the mind is even more powerful. That is just like temporarily. And supposing you break your leg, that's gone. That athlete, no matter how much well-trained you are, then can't do anything for you unless he or she get healed for a long time, or maybe not forever. But with the mind, you can overcome all your affliction, the root cause of your suffering, remove that. So therefore, really think deeply. We need to reflect on this, what's the greatest purpose in life, that we got such a precious human rebirth. Unbelievable precious human. We can understand language. We can communicate. Animals have very limited communication. Some may not even have anything, live in a dark place, totally. Those who can see, like our pet dogs or cats, even they have very limited communication. We can understand and analyze and go deeper and so much. And when you are equipped with such a mind, now why waste it? You need to find this is your opportunity. That once in a million lifetime you have the chance, and especially meeting the Dharma, open your eyes and give you tremendous possibility to find the answer to all our questions. Answer to all our questions. Nothing can give us answer until we directly deal with this affliction and ignorance, which is right within our mind. And even the word, Buddhism called Nangpa in Tibetan. Nangpa means inner ones. Look into your mind. The others are called Chipa, look outside. Nangpa means look inside. The inside is your mind. There's no other inside. Not talking about look at your lungs and guts, It's talking about look into your mind. And when you look into your mind, that's where everything is starting, everything is building, So therefore, mindfulness is in direct working with your mind. And that is required, very, very important. Without that, you can't even move forward. So therefore, please, you can read more about mindfulness. There's a lot of text on that. Go more detail. Mindfulness of body, mindfulness of feeling, mindfulness of Dharma, nature of all Dharma means phenomena, which is basically emptiness. And then mindfulness of mind. So all this step by step, you can, bring that into your daily practice, and then in your post-meditation state. So that's one thing I thought to tell generally. And then secondly is, earlier I was talking about the miraculous month. There is nothing miracle beside compassion and wisdom. That's also important to understand. Buddha didn't show the miraculous to impress other beings. Buddha was showing how to unravel this, our mind, which is so caught up, takzin, the word Tibetan is takzin, means everything so real, you know. And then since we are caught up in the phenomenal world of amazing delusion of all kinds, amazing delusion, and we believe in that, we are stuck with that, and we're engaging in that. So in order to bring that pride and ego down, you know, bodhisattvas, Buddhas and Buddhists sometimes show miraculous. So the other side, ego and pride, there goes down, and then it opens their mind. It has to do, everything is bodhicitta, compassion and wisdom. It has nothing to do with the pride and to prove, look, I'm stronger than you, you're weaker than me, looking down. That's not what the Dharma is about, you know. So, because every being, not only human beings, men or women, but every being, even a creature, an insect, no matter how tiny or microscopic they all have basic goodness. It's just the form they didn't have at that moment due to the karma, but they all have basic goodness. The essence of basic goodness is there. And that is universal. So no one, we cannot, you know, so from that point of view, you know, that wisdom and compassion is pervasive for all beings. No one is discriminated upon in the Dharma. There is no way, because Dharma is based on wisdom and compassion. It's not based on ego or ethnic or race or how rich or poor you are. It is not based on that. It's based on the true wisdom and compassion. And wisdom and compassion, see, all beings have. It's just a matter of question of awakening. And at the same time, we all know that every being feels for happiness and feels to abandon suffering. So no difference, you know. We should really spend our life, you know, in like truly in the path of Bodhisattva Yana path. Even in Buddha's teaching, there's Hinayana path. The difference of Hinayana and Mahayana makes the motivation. The Mahayana includes all being. Always you practice bodhicitta mind. You practice others' happiness, cherishing. You try to look self-cherishing as some mistake. And of course, the self-happiness will naturally come when you work for the happiness for the being. You know, we think that, oh, if I don't work for myself, then where is the happiness that, you know, I'm neglecting myself? That's a very wrong view. It's a very narrow-minded view. It's not true at all when you really reflect into it. I explained in the past many times, even your, you know, and Shantideva explained. Shantideva in the Bodhichara Avatar teaching explained that even temporal happiness, temporal means right now we're in the temporal, in this mortal world, you know, temporal situation. We all know we're going to die. At any moment we can. So even in the temporal happiness, such as food, joy, warmth, caring, comes from others' affection to us. And we are all social animal, you know, we are all social animal, grown up with the affection of others. When we are born, without our parents' love, we wouldn't be here. They fed us, they took care of us. So does so many animals, not only human being, but even like you look at birds, they're grown up with their mother's love. You look at bears, the bear mother is ready to attack someone if someone tries to harm his child. Same as tigers and tigress and so many animals built up on love and affection. So therefore, uh, you know, even a temporal happiness can be achieved with the warm feeling and love and caring and compassion. Let's not talk about ultimate enlightenment. Ultimate enlightenment is a result of purification of two kinds of defilements, the gross and the subtle defilements. Total defilement needs to be eliminated, needs to be purified, whatever the word you use, purified, eliminated, or dissolved, whatever. Otherwise, ultimate enlightenment, non-duality cannot happen. And that you can imagine how much, compassion, wisdom is required for that. It's not something small thing can just happen, wishful thinking. Or I will just sit for today or tomorrow and then, it's enough. Or I will give one charity and two charity and that's enough. Or I will try to help here and there and that's enough. It requires constant thing. You may have all heard from the Sutra pad, the Buddha accumulate merit for 3 endless eons. 3 endless eons of accumulation of merit. The result is finally achieved, the great thing, what is known as emptiness. And of course, there are people who misunderstand the word emptiness because, our mind works in a very dualistic mindset. Either we say yes or we say no. If it's not no, then it's yes. If it's yes, then it's no. Automatically we, go between these two polar, two sides. So when we say emptiness, we have already an idea. It means nothingness. Or if it's not nothingness, then it's somethingness. That's, there is a underneath, when you look underneath the mind, there's some mind like which is grasping and always judging this dualistic mindset. It's not really like that. And but since the Buddha have to be skillful when Buddha give the teaching, Buddha could have just given one teaching and answer for all. There's no such thing as like that. It may not work that way. To some, yes, you do this, this practice, that practice, and then slowly, then you find the answer how to deal with your mind more simply. Simply maybe, though it is, though it may be very simple, enlightened mind cannot be complicated like an unenlightened mind. Unenlightened mind is the most complicated mind. It's mind-boggling, isn't it? Sometimes you go to your office or you deal with this and you say, oh, my head is, in India, they call Sirme Chakra Parya. My head is spinning. I'm so confused. I'm so confused. I don't know how to deal with this. And of course, we face that a lot. And then people, it's time to go treatment at psychiatrists and psychologists. It's just you can't deal with it anymore yourself. And then, when the worst thing comes, people go to take drugs and drug themselves or become alcoholic. And then you forget the whole thing and then you do some stupid, crazy thing and then more destructive to yourself. So therefore, yes, there are certain practices which are a little challenging. Just give you a very simple example like prostration. When people do mudra, prostration is very challenging. And then sometimes a lot of recitation also a little challenging. Visualization also a little challenging. But people, you need to guard your mind and deal with your situation, different methods, and you see the benefit. You see, how your mind is changing, opening up, is getting benefit step by step, with each one of these different methods on the path. Then finally, you're taught meditation, like Dzogchen meditation, Mahamudra meditation, Dzogchen. Then when it comes to really so subtle, like subtle means now you're really touching the core of your mind. we say, what's in the middle of the earth? Like scientists try to dig the hole and like, what's the core of the earth may look like? Or what's it like that? So same thing, when it's really getting to the core of your earth, it cannot be that complicated. Just the whole digging process is complicated. Going through layers of layers is complicated. You have to go through, you have no choice to reach the middle of the earth beside drilling it. And then once you come to it, finally, it may be very open. Same thing. So when it comes to dealing with the awareness, you know, was known, step by step. Of course, people have to go step by step. Otherwise, one could explain all the, from an experience engineering point of view, who have done a hole in the middle of the earth. Yes, it's like that, but when you reach, it's very simple and open. It's just there. But you heard that, but you have no experience. And then you try to imagine that, it'll be a little different than just realistically experiencing it, how it is. Like taking a person who've never tasted sugar and explaining about how sweet and this and that, but have no idea what sweet really meant because never tasted what sweet is. And then finally, when you taste it, you may not be able to explain, but you know the rawness just there. Same thing, the method how you deal with, the question here is the method you deal with afflictions and ignorance and all these emotions and thought are not really complicated when it really comes to the core of it. Right now, we seem to have a lot of polarities, something to be abandoned and an antidote to that. We speak about antidote to everything. We speak about abandoning our negativities. We speak about the antidote. So it's like a big deal. Oh, you did that, that's sacrilegion. You did that, that's sacrilegion. You did that, that's not good. Oh, so many things, guilt trips, this trip and that trip. But finally, when it really comes to that awareness level, it could be very simple, an awakening. So at that time, the gap between abandoning and antidote is not really much on the highest level. It's just like basically seeing the awareness, awakening mind. As I said, samsaric mind is the complication. It's not the enlightened mind. So now in this lifetime, we are very fortunate that we born in a free country, born with freedom, an amazing opportunity, met with the Dharma. So fortunate that you know now how to work with your mind. So we should not waste our life, precious human rebirth. You never know how long you will live. And if your life goes spent by a lot of distraction, and then you have been less kind to yourself, if I can use the word, you've been less kind to yourself. How to be kind to yourself? If you see your life full of, bodhicitta mind, which is filled with joy and liberation and openness, then wonderful. Otherwise, definitely you will go falls towards depression. There's no question of that. Because whatever we think, if it's affliction, then naturally whatever we do is byproduct of the affliction, is negativity. And that byproduct is suffering and depression. It's given, no question of that. So you want to reverse that, then you need to go to the root cause of that. So meditation practice, Tonglen practice become extremely important. Every day to, when you first either cleanse the 3 poisons, channels, and then after that, then do this sitting practice of meditation. bring your mindfulness. And then during the daytime, relax your mind. Don't burn other people's nose. It's a saying, I don't know English word, Tibetan saying, means don't, agitate other people unnecessarily, because then you agitate yourself also. Therefore, there you need to relax your mind and then keep a positive mind. If you have bodhicitta mind, that is the positive mind. Because bodhicitta mind is the healer of all our mental sickness, is the friend of all beings, is friend of ourselves, is the one who accumulates merit is bodhicitta. One who purifies our emotion and negativities is bodhicitta. So you can count on your inner mind, bodhicitta. So please practice that. And then step by step, each person according to their practices, those who do wonder practice, those who do meditation, and then you will all improve. And now soon, I really want to establish the very profound practice of trauma. And, we're so fortunate that Dujum Yangsi, who came, and unfortunately now he passed away in a very young age. I don't know. It's very sad, no matter what it is, but because beings get, it's like lack of fortune of beings for someone so great to pass away. Anyway, fortunate that many of you received trauma empowerment, and I'm right now we are working to bring Dorje Wangmo, who is wonderful yogini. She did like a 3 years retreat, very highly developed inside. And so she will be coming and spending time in Denver with us. And I want all of you to really take that opportunity to study the trauma practice. And I will explain myself, she will explain, and then it'll be very good grounding. And it's such a beautiful, profound practice of trauma. So I'm really happy this may happen this year. And also the COVID is now going away. And so you'll all be healthy and able to, really use your precious human rebirth. So that's one very good thing, practice of trauma. 13 great students of Dujum Lingpa achieved rainbow body through this practice. And countless yogis and yoginis, achieve realization. When they all die, they remain in meditation, they call Tukdam. Tukdam is like when a person dies, this is those who are practitioner, Dzogchen practitioner. When they die, clinically they are dead. But, the process of death is like when you're born, when you're conceived, the 5 elements begin to develop. And then, when you're conceived in the union, there's father's essence and mother's essence. Father's essence here and mother's essence in the heart. Mother's essence in the navel. So when we die, then the dissolution take place. And dissolution takes step by step from each element dissolving. And then finally the essence of father and mother dissolving into the heart center. And then there's a blackout, And so at that time, blackout means though it gets startled, every being they get like a spark of enlightened mind, the true original enlightened mind. And those who realize the enlightened mind during this lifetime through their practice, instantly at that time, it's called the meeting of the mother and the child. Like, when the mother sees the child, she recognizes. Child sees the mother, she recognizes. It's called the mother and the child clear light. clear light is the enlightened wisdom. So meeting the mother and the child clear light, and instantly at that moment, then the awakening take place. While those who have not meditated, then most ordinary being, in fact, every ordinary being who are not real, when that process comes, they get startled, and it just may last for like a second and then disappeared, not recognized and gone to take birth in the 6 realms of somewhere based on one's karma, deeds. So those who are practitioner, men or women, at that moment they realize what they have realized. So it's called meeting of the mother and the child, clear light. And then they remain in meditation. So even clinically, the doctor can declare dead, pulse, everything stop. But they, for example, when they die, they're like this, their heads get up. And some remain in like for 3 days, 1 week. There have been instances like 16 days, 18 days, 21 days in meditation. And during the whole time, their body remained fresh, no smell. This has happened like thousands and thousands of practitioners, even to this day. So their body remained fresh, even in the middle of the summer. A dead body, if you put in after 2 days, I'm sure it will smell. And here for like weeks, in like 40 degrees centigrades, 100 and something, no smell, nothing like that. And then after once all the meditation is dissolved, then the head falls down also like that. That's amazing, So today, scientists are trying to, His Holiness Dalai Lama has given permission to experiment on someone who dies and who remain in Tukdam of meditation. Now, Tukdam comes from the practice of bodhicitta. Tukdam comes from the practice of emptiness on the nature of the mind. Those who realize. And that one of the most profound, it is so deep. When you think about, wow, something like that awakened mind can happen. So what does that mean also? When the clear light happens, it closes the door of all lower realms. In the Kali Chakra teaching, Kali Chakra Tantra teaching, it explained, Wasil Zimbe kibu de pardo tronkel temiton, means the one who have realized clear light will not see the phenomena of bardo, means intermediate state. Bardo, no experience, because they're in clear light state. So all the doors to the lower realm is closed. The phenomena, is expression of your mind. Once that very door to affliction and ignorance is closed, there is no lower realm such. The phenomena dissolve and the state of enlightenment happens. And you have that in yourself. You have that quality in you. It's your Buddha nature, it's your basic goodness. But it's not, living dormant is no good. Right now it's there, but it's dormant. It's not functioning. Even you have the basic goodness, but your basic goodness is dormant right now. Your affliction is too strong. So as we practice Dharma, we're going to battle. We're going to experience battle between, positive mind and negative mind and our emotions and all this thing. It's going to battle. Sometimes you will lose, sometimes you will win, sometimes you will lose, sometimes you will win. And as you keep progressing, then your mindfulness will get stronger. At the beginning, your mindfulness will be weak, only work sometime, not work sometime. Then as you keep progressing on the path, then, it will get deeper and deeper. And at some point, as I said, it could be, so simple that the difference between abandoning and the antidote may be not much gap. Yeah. Anyway, so the potential that the not only potential, but the seed of enlightenment, that basic goodness within our mind is just like there, it's right there within us. So there's a saying, don't look for Buddhahood outside, look Buddhahood within. If you look for Buddhahood outside, even it's 1 billion years, you will not find. But if you look within, it's there. And for that, we're going to start with mindfulness, with compassionate heart, with practice of bodhicitta practice, to the point you take bodhisattva vows, and then practice, and then your Vajrayana practice, of Lama Yidam and Dakini practice, and then finally the Dzogchen practice. Then you will be the victorious. Otherwise, being in samsara, we are under the influence of duality and ignorance and affliction. And that's no matter how much we complain or we cry, makes no difference. It will give you suffering. It's not going to say, oh, you cried so much, so it'll give you some reprieve, or how do you say, something to reprieve. No reprieve. No, nothing whatsoever. In fact, the amount of cry, in the words of my perfect teacher explained, that amount of cry, if we can collect, it will be bigger than an ocean. One person cry over the lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes of, suffering in the samsara. So therefore, right now, it's in your hand. You've reached a very, very important juncture, and it's right there in your hand. So we need to, after this year was a very shocking year, his son is Dujum Yangsi, who is 32 years old, who came to Denver. He's spent time among us. And now his son has passed away. I don't know what is the reason. All I can think is unfortunate lack of good karma of beings for such a great enlightened being to leave us. And that tells us that we ourselves also subjected to impermanence. And day by day, we're getting closer to death, not further. And so therefore, now you make use of your life, precious. So there's no precious without bodhicitta. If you can make your life live with bodhicitta, then your life is precious. No matter what you do, you can enjoy drinking coffee with someone, you can take a walk, you can do, then your life becomes wholesome with bodhicitta. But if your mind is full of self-centeredness, burning with fire of passions and aggression, you will not find liberation. You will not find happiness, even temporarily, as Shantideva said. Again, let me repeat what he said. He said, let's not talk about enlightenment. Even temporal happiness will not be achieved without compassion and bodhicitta. So I think we should reflect on this meaning. And that's really what the message of Dharma is, Anyway, like that. So I will be coming to Denver soon, and I will look forward to seeing you all. This year has been a little challenging for my health also. And so I'm happy I'm still alive. And I'm happy to see you all, and I look forward to see you all in person. And so make your life a virtuous life, all the time with your mindfulness. Today, my main message is think your mindfulness is your best friend. I want you to think about all this and practice this and reflect what it really meant. And then I'm sure you have a really good hold of yourself from closing the door of all negativities through mindfulness, your best friend. And then needless to say, your daily practice, whatever each one of you are doing, please do every day, whether it's meditation, Tonglen practice, sadhana practice, whatever it is, please do. And then when I come, I will have interview those who need interview. I will be open for that, and we can do those things. And so like that. So if you have any question now, you can ask me some questions. Jim, can we hear each other?
Yes, Rinpoche, people just have to unmute themselves.
Okay.
You should be giving extra teachings, some teachings consistently while you're in the States.
Yeah, I will give teaching, definitely. You know, I will give teaching. You know, reason I couldn't give much teaching, I have some challenging health issue this year. So therefore, I've been taking treatment in Delhi with my doctor. And so I have to go slowly. So you may all wonder, Rinpoche disappeared for like 5 months. Where did he go? So, but now I'm getting better. I will be back soon. And in the meantime, yeah, you know, I will time to time give teaching on Zoom. Yeah. Yes. Any questions?
In Tuktun.
Go ahead, Tara.
Rinpoche, on behalf of the Nundro group, I wanted to ask a question about receiving the 4 empowerments. Could you explain a little bit about the meaning of that for us?
For empowerment is, you know, very deep thing. You know, definitely it's not working on the grosser level of body, speech, and mind. It's working on a very subtle level of body, speech, and mind. That's what Vajrayana practice is about. That's what Tantra is about. Esoteric practice is not exoteric practice. We also use the word esoteric practice. Esoteric means going very deep to a very subconscious level of awareness or mind. So according to, you know, in the Vajrayana teaching, like, first of all, let me give you an example. Our gross phenomena of 3 poison: ignorance, aggression, and desire, basically. Those 3, you know, we are represented mainly by those 3, our mind, you know, in a gross state of mind. Now, the ignorance kind of like stupefy, right? I mean, when you experience, we can say, oh, stupid. It means like you can't think clearly, you feel stupefied or whatever. That's the stupefied state of mind. And then from the words, in the traditional words, the ignorance fall in the category of mind called alaya mind. The ground of all. Alaya means, it's a Sanskrit word, means ground of all our thoughts and emotions preserved. You know, our habits are preserved in our mind. That state which holds everything is called alaya mind. Now in alaya, it can be defined into 2 parts. Confused alaya and purified alaya, so to speak. Or basic goodness in enlightened mind is like an enlightened aspect of alaya, while all our happy stores and we feel clinged, we feel trapped in that is called the alaya mind. Now the essence of the alaya mind, which is the enlightened aspect. And that is called Dharmakaya mind. So alaya mind transmuted is called Dharmakaya mind. When our mind is remaining in the dualistic ordinary state, is called ordinary alaya mind, or impure alaya mind is called. So that's the root cause of all samsaric phenomena comes from the ignorant, which is the alaya, which holds all our confusion, emotion, thoughts, habits, everything. So ignorance, then attachment. From ignorance comes, once you lose your perspective, so to speak, once you lose your perspective, then you drift. Like, as I said, find your location. These days, your phone tries to find your location wherever you are, iPhone or whatever. So you're finding your location. Once you couldn't find your location, you are drifting away. And then at that time, then you begin to, find you're drifting, but you have awareness, mind. So it's trying to find a constantly location in an anxiety way, and that anxiety makes you more fearful, a sense of identity, and that's called ego. That's desire, the desire to know yourself, desire to find yourself. The desire is trying to find yourself, try to relate with yourself from being lost. So that is desire. Now the desire, once is seen its true essence, then it's become nirmanakaya bhakti. But actually I should speak first before desire, the aggression, anger. So we have ignorance, anger. So anger is when you couldn't find, when you don't know, when you lost the perspective who you are, your basic goodness, when you do, then you get angry. Anger comes, is intelligence. This is how we can call misconstrued intelligence, or the intelligence getting now like haywire, so to speak. You get angry, not knowing where you are. And then the next step is trying to find that is desire. You see, this is how the emotion of intelligence come to play in creating your phenomena. So from the unenlightened point of view, these are the three portions. From the enlightened point of view, there are Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. Dharmakaya, the basic space. Sambhogakaya, then is the clear expression of that space. Once the aggression, once you find your ground, which is basic goodness, you no longer would have that negativity of aggression, because you no need. You already know, so there's no anger. There's no aggression. Aggression comes from not knowing your space, being lost. So then when that state is called Sambhogakaya, primordial intelligence, or pure expression. And then once that is discovered, then is the next stage is Nirmanakaya, or it's like the blissful state, is joy. So here, once we lose the perspective, then we are angry. Then you're trying to find yourself with the desire of wanting. There's this, the aggression is also coming, not finding your place. And the desire is coming, trying to find your place. You see, very subtle mind there is, if you really look. This intelligence come, the ignorance doesn't mean there's no thought, nothing. But it's like, the whole intelligence get haywire. So what you need to see, you're not seeing. What you don't need to see, it's happening. Because you lose your ground, you lose your way, and then now you get very disturbed and anxiety. That's affliction. That's called afflicted mind, affliction. So now when you really look deeper, then in the taking the four empowerment, the the vast empowerment, the secret empowerment, the wisdom empowerment, the Swabhavika empowerment, the four empowerment. You know, first is the purification of the body, which is represented by nadis, channel. These are mainly in the Anuyoga Tantra practice. There is, in the Tantric practice, there are 4 stages of Tantric practice. Kriya Tantra, Upa Tantra, Yoga Tantra, Anuttara Yoga Tantra. Anuttara Yoga, Kriya Tantra, Upa Tantra, Yoga Tantra, Anuttara Yoga. Anuttara practice deals with Yantra Yoga and dealings with our energy, dealing with our essence, and dealing with the channels, which basically all comes down to absolute bodhicitta mind. You know, so those who are not doing Yantra Yoga or that kind of southern practice, it's not necessary that you require that 100%. It's not necessary. You can do through your Mahayoga practice or directly finally with Dzogchen practice. Like one of the most amazing thing in the Nyingma tradition is the Dzogchen teaching, which can deal directly with all kinds of thoughts and emotion, seeing its essence without working with any other methods. While in other level of Tantra, you first get to the subtle mind from the gross mind, and then you need to engage to the subtle mind to see the clear light. Without engaging in the subtle mind, you won't be able to see the clear light. But in the Dzogchen teaching, you will be able to see the clear light directly, whatever the thoughts and emotions. That's the most unique method and power of Dzogchen, for example. Like that. So taking the 4 empowerment is purifying the, the body, speech, and mind. And then even the notion that body, speech, and mind is separate, that's also like a duality. Ultimately, the nature of emptiness is such that, for example, when you're in the Dzogchen, preliminary Dzogchen, you're first told to find out where your mind comes from and where your mind stays and where your mind goes. Called Jungne Drosum in Tibetan, where the mind comes from. Look, and if comes from, then where it is, where it's located, and how it is located. And then finally, if it's located, then it has a place to go, where it is going. So I can't answer all this thing to you. It wouldn't be wise to do that, because you need to discover that yourself. Someday when you're ready, then I can give you introduction to Dzogchen. Right now, but basically, so therefore, right now we have a notion, my body is here, my speech is somewhere here, and my mind is somewhere here. So now this whole thing is when you really do the where your mind is. If you do have a mind, where it came from. And if this came from, what kind of form it is, what kind of color it is, all this thing you look. And then finally, basically to sums it up, all I can say, even the notion of body, speech, mind separation is like labeled. Ultimately, that itself is a subtle duality. So therefore, the 4 empowerment is purification of all kinds of obscuration of separation and duality. Okay.
James Crockett.
Hi, Guru Rinpoche. So good to see you again.
Good to hear from you.
I have 2 questions. I'll try to keep them short. I don't want to take up your whole evening, but I wondered if you could speak just briefly about sleep practice or dream yoga. And I also had a question about mantra recitation. When I accumulate mantras with more advanced practitioners, I can never keep up. And so I wonder if you can give some advice as to how to accumulate mantras at a proper pace with genuinity so that I don't feel like I'm cheating. but also, I just wondered if you could speak on that, please. Thank you so much.
Well, James, I have the challenge with myself. You know, some of my monks in Darjeeling, they can recite mantra faster than me. So, but the point is, when you do mantra, it should not be too fast, or it should not be missing mantra. That's important. It says sel means clear. Tak means like, you know, like no mistake, neither adding up mantra or no subtracting mantra. And so it should be clear with the speed, right amount of speed. You know, if you try to recite too fast, and then sometimes you can add your own mantra, which can come up, or you're subtracting, then that's incorrect. You can't do that. You know, mantra is very powerful. There's a saying that the sky may disappear, which is not possible, but the power of mantra will never disappear. So like through mantra, you can do healing. Through mantra, you can do future reading. Through mantra, you can do, build up for activities power. So tremendous power is there and you can experience that. But if you add it up, or you are by mistake, you're subtracting, then it will not work. It's not good. So it should be neither too fast, neither too slow. It should be the right speed. So don't worry, you know, some can say it faster, some can say it slower. That's not the point. The meaning, the actual practice should be important. And pronunciation is also not that important. There was, in ancient times, Sakya Pandita was a great Pandita, scholar. So he knows the language of the elements also. So one day he was walking by a stream of water, and in the valley up there, there was this yogi in the cave doing Vajikalaya mantra. So then Sakya Pandita, as being a scholar, everything should be perfect. So when he heard through the sound of the water, the mantra sound carried on, saying this Vajikalaya mantra, Om Vajrakili Kilaya, is Kili Kilaya. So the great Mahasiddha, that enlightened being, his pronunciation wasn't correct. Instead of saying Kili Kilaya, he was saying Chili Chilaya. So then Sakya Pandita said, oh, someone is doing practice. I should go and correct him. You know, it's not the right pronunciation. So he followed up the water and then he came to this cave. And in that cave, there was this yogi. And then he said, I want to tell you something. You're doing your mantra, but you're doing it wrong. It's not Chili Chilaya, it is Kili Kilaya. Then the Mahasiddha took out his purba, is like a sacred three-pointed spiritual knife, and is put through the rock, the cave, just like you will put a knife in a butter, just like that. And he said, whether it's Kili Kilaya or Chili Chilaya, this is what it is, And then Sakya Pandita realized this is an enlightened being. He said, okay, no problem. So pronunciation is no problem. You've got to get, do it in the right way. But no mantra should be missing, or no should be adding up. So do it in your own speed. That's good enough. Yeah. And then about the dream yoga, dreams are expression of your daytime and your life situation, which comes and project, And so of course, most of the dreams are, you can't take a big deal. But if you want to check your dreams about future, then the time to check is like early morning, like the dawn, like after 3:30, I would say, or between 3:30 and 5. That's the time to check if you are trying to check on a dream about future. Now, as far as the dream yoga itself is concerned, the phenomena is like a dream. So we should not make a too big deal about dream too. So one time, one of the students of 80 Mahasiddhas of India, the king or the supreme sort of like the king of the 80 Mahasiddhas was Saraha. So this is, I'm not talking about Saraha, there's another great Mahasiddha among the 81. And so the way he became Mahasiddha, he was a liar before, you know, how do you call someone who lie all the time? Chronic liar? No.
Yes.
Anyway, huh?
Yes.
Like a habitual liar or a
Yeah,
chronic
habitual liar. So he was a
Pathological.
heavily habitual liar.
pathological.
So then he went to the teacher and he said, please give me a Dharma. I'm a habitual liar. And then while he was telling that to his teacher, he lied to his teacher also, something else, you know. And then his teacher said, okay, now you visualize that whole phenomena is a lie. The whole phenomena is not real. The whole phenomena is a lie. You meditate on that. And then he meditated and he became enlightened. Because, you know, for us, everything is so real. We are trapped into, you know, our ego so real, our emotions so real, and that's what's trapping us. So with his teacher's blessing and then doing it correctly, he meditated and he became one of the Mahasiddhas. So therefore, you know, I think, James, you should also meditate. This whole life is like a dream. It is. So basically meaning is less attachment, less tangling, you know, and then more opening, and that will take place. But then, of course, there is a dream yoga separate. You know, in the Kagyu tradition, it's called the 6 yogas of Naropa. There is, you know, illusory body, dream, like that. But I think we should try to see the life, you know, when you get up in the morning, to see the life is, you know, really this, even wake up, the difference of wake up life and the night life is your mind labeling. The night one is not real, the day one is real. But in fact, when you're dreaming, even that was very real, as much as this life, you know. So there's also, you know, it comes to the question of mind. So like that.
Thank you so
Allison
much.
G?
It's so wonderful to see you, and I'm so sorry to hear you weren't well, but I'm glad to hear you're getting better.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Rinpoche, I just wanted to ask, is there anything you can say to us? I'm still just not knowing what to think about the passing of His Holiness and just struggling with
Passing of His
processing.
Holiness, you know, Buddha also, Buddha, you can say, Buddha gave us teaching in 12 different ways. That was called the 12 deeds of the Buddha, like taking birth in this world, then, you know, going through the, you know, meeting the dead person, meeting the sick person, and seeing the reality of life, and then Buddha entering into the, you know, into the path, and then finally achieving enlightenment. The 12 great deeds of Buddha is all to show beings, you know, how they should practice the Dharma. And so in a way, for me, you know, of course, in one way I'm sad, but in another way, you know, he's an enlightened being. So there's nothing sad for him. The sadness is for the being, those who are left behind. Of course, it's a sad, because we will miss his presence. So that's sad thing. But this tells us that we are all, like, whoever is born has to die. You know, there was a story about Buddha, this woman whose child died, and then she came to Buddha and asked to revive the child. And Buddha said, I will do that. But first, you go to a family, to a house where no one has died in that family. Then she went and looked every household, you know, asking, did somebody not die in this house? She said, everyone who, you know, everyone has someone dead. So then Buddha said, whoever comes has died. So, you know, therefore, this shows that, you know, while we're living, we should live a life full of joy and virtue, and that, then step by step, that will continue in the next life. Each person's karma is different, then until enlightenment. That's important. So this shows us, meditate on impermanence, we are also subject to decay. And then those who meditate on impermanence, they are much happier actually, because they don't hold much afflictive emotion. They forgive easy. Their minds are more free. Those who think of living forever, they're the one who builds a lot of negative emotions. And of course, no one can live forever. So therefore, meditating impermanence will make you a better practitioner, more happier person, and more free person.
Sarah Canfield.
Thank you, Rinpoche. It's good to be here and to meet you. I have a question concerning the situation in the world today and the fact that we all have basic goodness, we all have compassion, but we have somebody out there that is really destructive. And how does one deal with that? How does the world deal with someone like this?
Yeah, it's very sad, wherever there is war, there is suffering without any question, and then hunger, and then disease, they all follow up one after another. And right now, the good things I heard in like European countries where they're opening up their borders and welcoming refugees and making their homes. Like, for example, I heard in Poland, like about 800,000 or before. This was like a week ago or something. So there is hardly any refugee camp. All families have opened their homes and welcome. That's quite amazing. So it gives opportunity to practice kindness, compassion, bodhicitta. But as much as there's also this good, but it's really tremendous suffering, people going through like that. And so when you really ask what's happening, we have to, whoever do such harm, it's very sad. One would destroy all one's merit, and then everyone is put in a very suffering state. So we should really make prayers and merit, and then dedicate that merit to beings, so the leaders in the world can have compassion and warm-heartedness and wisdom to see, to make the right decision. And being those who are trapped in their karmic debt or whatever, their karmas get purified. I think that's the only thing which we can do. And then if you can help, like charity works to help them support families, that'll be wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think that's it, Rinpoche.
All right. So then let's dedicate the merit in the world in general, and in this nation. May not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities, merit, and prosperity
greatly increase.
and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly arise. In the world in general, and in this nation. May not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities and merit and prosperity greatly increase. And may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general, and in this nation. May not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities and merit and prosperity greatly increase. and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience, thus defeat
The neuroses and negative actions which are the enemies from the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of cyclic existence, may all beings be liberated.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Please stay healthy and bring bodhicitta, then you will be happy. I'm not going to tell you, be happy. Bring bodhicitta, you will be happy. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
Tashi Dele, Tudiche,
Tashi Dele,
Namaste, Chule.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche.
You're welcome. You're welcome.